My question is very brief. I would like to ask Mr. Deidat, from the Quran, from the Bible, I can give him at least 25 predictions made by different prophets over a long period, over 1600 years apart. And they were all fulfilled in connection with the death, burial and resurrection of Jesus Christ in 3 days. All those predictions. Is there any prediction made in the Quran which does not relate to the prophets of the Old Testament?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Deidat?
Just to clarify the question, is there any prophecy of the Quran, you say, which does not relate to what? I lost you there, I'm sorry.
Which is not taken from the Old Testament.
Oh, is there any prophecy in the Quran that doesn't come from the Old Testament?
That's not taken from the Old Testament.
Yes, sure. If it depends on what you mean by prophecy. If you're talking about a prediction of something to happen, yes. You have, for example, one of those falsifiable statements, as I said. I believe he was quoting it when he talked. The Quran says to the Muslims, you will always find that those closest in love to you will be the Christians rather than the Jews. You see, today, that still stands there. It stood for 14 centuries to the Jews, telling them, you Jews want to prove Muslims are wrong? Here, the Quran tells you what to do. It says, treat us better than the Christians do, and we'll believe you. You see, it's told the Jew, all you have to do is start treating Muslims very nice. Let a few years go by, then say to the Muslims, doesn't your book say the Christians are better friends than we are? Look, we're better friends. But they never thought of it. That's a prophecy.
My question was for Mr. Deidat to answer.
Your question has been framed in such a roundabout way. You said that is a very simple question. But if you will put it simply to me, it will make it easy for me to answer. Will you please repeat your question?
My question is, do you have any predictions in the Quran?
Right.
Any prophecy in the Quran?
In the Quran,
that
yes.
was not
There are prophecies in the Quran. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when they were under trials and tribulations, when there seemed to be no hope, God Almighty gives the Holy Prophet Muhammad a hope that he is going to conquer. And they will be able to return to Makkah and perform their Hajj. Then there is a chapter in the Quran called Surah Rum. And in that surah, the incident that is referred to is that the Persians and the Romans, they were at war. And the Persians conquered the Romans. And in the Quran they were told that within a small period of time, the Romans will once more again conquer the Persians. These are prophecies being fulfilled in the lifetime of the Prophet. And a standing prophecy about the supremacy of Islam over all the religions. You see, in the Holy Quran we are told, it says, لِيُزَهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ, that God Almighty has given Muhammad in Islam a religion, a way of life that is going to conquer, supersede every way of life, whether it be Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianism. And from the figure that I gave you at the beginning of my talk, where I said that there are 1,000 million Muslims in the world today, as against 1,200 million Christians, numerically. People who fill census forms, 1,200 million. But if you take into account that Islam started 600 years after Christianity, you can see the obvious, that Islam is superseding every other way of life. And in the Plain Truth magazine of some few months back, there were figures given of the progress or the growth of each and every religion on earth, each and every philosophy. And in that, you'll find the highest percentage of progress was given to Islam, something like 267%, as against the Roman Catholics, as against the Hindus, as against the Jews, every system. So here is a prophecy that is being fulfilled all the time. I hope that answers your question.